Huh. You know, as you can probably tell by the music, this isn't your normal take it with a grain of sand episode. This is a Halloween special.
Yay!
Oh, and we got a lot to go with the Halloween theme.
Yep.
I'm a little bit nervous. As you can probably tell, I can barely speak because it's spooky.
What do you
It's
mean?
scary.
You're nervous. Okay, let me just let the audience in on a little something. We record the intros at the end after we record the segments. And sometimes
Yes.
we record the segments on different days. This time we recorded the whole episode. We just finished. We've been talking on the phone on Discord for 2 hours. And we just finished doing this whole episode for you guys, all in one sitting. And I think we've got a good spooky episode. We've got 3 spooky segments for you today. We've got a creepy pasta reading by Ricky P. We've got a story time of some haunted houses we went to, and an extra special episode of SpongeBob to connect to real life. Of course. Well, what's an episode to take it with a grain of sand without an episode of SpongeBob? So,
Yeah.
keep listening, and we really hope you enjoy, and happy Halloween!
Yes. Oh yeah, and tell us in the comments below, what are you dressing up for Halloween?
Yeah,
Cause
what are you? Are you handing out candy? What you doing?
yeah, it was. We should actually tell us what we're gonna be dressing up for Halloween.
I wasn't gonna dress up for Halloween. I wasn't gonna go anywhere. You're gonna dress up as something for Halloween?
Yeah, I'm dressing up as Vic Vance from GTA Vice City Stories.
Yeah, no one knows what that is. But we're not gonna take the time to explain who that is. We need to get started on the episode. We got a long episode.
Alright. Alright.
Alright.
Without further ado, let's get spooky.
For this segment of our spooky special episode, we're now gonna do a creepy pasta. Ricky P, you gonna read us a creepy pasta today?
Well, saying it's a creepypasta is an understatement. I've known about this creepypasta for about, I'd say, um, 9 years. I know about this
9
creepypasta.
years.
Yes. And
What's it called?
yeah, I know. And it's gonna be like a really bad one. Because it's a Sonic creepypasta, and there's a lot of Sonic creepypastas out there. And no, it's not the one that you think. It's not the popular Sonic creepypasta, Sonic AXE. And that one was terrible, too.
Do people know what Sonic.exe is?
Yeah, everybody knows Sonic AXE.
Like,
You not need to explain.
People that aren't gamers.
We're
Does
not gonna
everyone know who Sonic is? Maybe we should back it up a second.
No!
For
No,
people
we're not
who
doing.
don't know who Sonic is.
No, we're not doing that. It's a waste of time. People
Is
who are
it?
watching, yes, people who are watching this right now or listening to this know who Sonic is.
I
And
think
I
it's
know.
very exclusive.
No, we're not going to explain who Sonic is.
Let me say who Sonic is really quick. Okay, Sonic is this video game character. He's a blue hedgehog and he runs really fast, and that's his whole thing. Now that didn't even take that long. What's wrong with explaining who Sonic is?
Everybody knows who Sonic is.
He's faster than the speed of sound. That's his
Yeah.
catchphrase. That's why he's called Sonic.
And yes, he has an overabundant fan base. And by overabundant, I mean toxic. And there's even like rivalries and wars with the fan base going on right now as we speak. And it's been going on for years now. And
Okay.
there are some certain fans in the fan base. And most of them, they do fan art, cringy fan art. While some of them, like the one I'm about to mention right now, write creepypastas. And they are not good. And this one's relatively short, so I'm gonna read it, word for word. Mickey, you can interject what you want if there's something you want to say on a crucial part.
You're gonna give me permission to talk?
Yes,
Like you're the boss of me. I say what I want. I'll talk if I want to. If I have nothing to say, I'm not gonna say nothing.
fine.
You ain't the boss of me.
Look, we can't do this right now. I haven't even read yet.
Alright, well, read it already.
Fine. We just wasted 3 minutes. But
That was
whatever.
not a waste. Just get started.
Okay. Without further ado, let's get started. This creepypasta is called Lost Sonic. Okay, I'm a big fan of old school Sonic games. I've played them all as a kid. I
You
have
think
the
you should maybe
first.
do like a character voice? So
No.
that people know that these aren't your words?
No.
Like, okay, these are. I don't know, do an accent.
I don't want to do an accent.
I'm a big fan of Sonic. That's probably what this person sounds like. I
Yeah.
love the old Sonic games.
Yeah, and you know what, even
Do it
then,
like Forrest Gump.
I don't want to do it like Forrest Gump. But look, this is the perfect way that I should stop. Right off the bat, we always it's always a cliche in every single Sonic creepypasta. It's like you are an old school fan, or like I'm a fan, a huge fan of Sonic. Like, why do all Sonic creepypastas start like that?
Read it again with a southern accent.
I don't want to read it in a Southern accent.
I think that would make it better for the listeners.
Anyways, let's just continue. I have the first Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles. You name it, I have it. And yes, I played all of them on Sega Genesis. So, I was in the attic lately, cleaning up the crap I have in there. But while I was cleaning, I found this weird Sega Genesis cartridge. It had a piece of paper on there with the words Lost Sonic written on it. I would have no idea what the heck this was doing in my attic. I never remembered this game from my childhood. But curiosity got the best of me, so I put the game in, grabbed my controller, and started playing. It started with the intro, from the original Sonic the Hedgehog.
This
But
already doesn't make any sense.
wait,
It was in his attic and he didn't know what it was or how it got there.
apparently not.
So what, the ghost of Sonic just put it in there for him to find?
I guess so.
Or her.
What?
Could be her.
Or her? Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, women play video games too, Ricky. Well, you didn't know?
I don't know. The
So this person goes into their attic, they're cleaning stuff up, and they just find this random Sega Genesis cartridge that says Lost Sonic.
yes.
Alright. It seems a little implausible, but continue.
Okay. It started with the intro from the original Sonic the Hedgehog, but some things were unusual about it. There was no background, just a black screen, and there was no title, just a giant ring with Sonic in it. but I still pushed start and the game began. It started with the same thing every old Sonic game starts with. A green island stage with flowers and palm trees. But the zone didn't have a name. It only said Act 1. And the music was Green Hill Zone, but slowed down like in the European version. There was no life.
Wait. I think we should explain that a little bit for people who have never played a Sonic game before. Hill Zone, isn't that the music that like is really common in Sonic games?
Only like in the first one and in some editions of Green Hill Zone.
Yeah, so that's a soundtrack to that's like a name of a soundtrack for old Sonic games. And all the Sonic games start with Act 1, pretty much.
Yeah, some of
Right?
them.
There's
Yeah,
like Act
yeah,
1, Act 2, and then the boss
yeah,
for
some of them
each
do.
zone. Alright, I'm just clarifying because like all of this sounds like it's weird if you don't know what it is. So some of the components of this story are normal to Sonic games. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
not that creepy so far. Alright, continue.
Uh, there also was no life, time, score, or ring count. There was no badniks or hazards in the zone, but I still kept going. It was like your normal Sonic level, but then out of nowhere, Robotnik came out of nowhere and hit you. There were no rings in the zone, so I died. But instead of the normal death animation, the screen cut to black, and the death sound was heard. The game just
Wait, wait,
froze
wait,
there on the black
wait,
screen.
wait. Let me go back one more second. Robotnik, that is a common boss in Sonic. But he's like Sonic's enemy. He's like this tall, skinny guy, but he's got like a giant gut. He's got like skinny legs and a large abdomen. And he's got a big old mustache. Quite ugly. He's also human, and his biggest enemy is a hedgehog, which is it's strange, but that's how the actual game goes. But usually he doesn't just pop up in the middle of a level, right?
Right.
You know when the boss is coming because you're playing the boss level. He doesn't just pop up in the middle like when you're going across. So in Sonic's what you call a 2D platformer. You're going from one end, the left, to the right, right? And there's obstacles between the two, and you gotta kill stuff, you gotta jump over stuff, this and that. So this is already now we're starting to get to where it's strange because Robotnik doesn't usually just pop up while you're running through a regular zone in Act 1 or 2. All right. So what happens after he popped up?
Well, the screen.
Oh yeah, the person died because there were no rings.
Yes. And the
Which is
game.
also very strange.
Yeah. The game just froze there on a black screen. I pressed the reset button on the Sega Genesis, and the game restarted. Uh, uh, this person didn't spell all right. It said AAL.
Well, it's not very good. This person's not that smart. That's why I said to do it in a southern accent.
Uh,
I think I called it on this one. Robotnik showed up, the game froze. I had to restart my Sega Genesis. I had to spit out my tobacco dip.
what?
Or whatever they do in the South. I had to put gas in my pickup truck. I didn't have time for these kind of shenanigans. All right. Continue.
Okay. Uh, all was all was shocked this time. The title. Wait a minute. Is it I was shocked this time? Or I don't even get what the
I don't
sentence
know.
is.
You didn't send me the creepypasta, so I can't even read it.
Well, I don't really understand what that sentence is about. But anyways, the title screen withdrew a huge change. The background turned blood red. Under the ring with Sonic in it, it said "Lost," and the music was screwed up. It was slowed down and missing a lot of notes. Sonic, however, was worse. His color scheme was lightened a lot, and his eyes were red. Sonic was also frowning with blood, while blood was dripping from his eyes. And this is just Sonic the EXE. Oh my god. Sorry. In fear, I pressed the start button. The level started up. It was horrible. The top of the title screen to so on a posse
What?
and it took one. I think it's spelled backwards on the button. It took me a while to release it, but it was it took me a while to realize it, but it was Lost. No Escape, Act 1 backwards. Sonic was the same as he was on the title screen. Light colored, with red eyes, blood under his eyes. And that's it. The music was the same as it was on the title screen. I played through the level. The level was underground theme, and blood from the top. Bones and puddles of blood surrounded the level. Some gore was found too. The only badnik was the centipede from Mystic Cave Zone. But instead of dropping an animal when you kill it, blood splattered out of it. There were also spikes with blood on the tips.
This is just getting ridiculous. Everything's just got blood on it. Great.
And
It's blood on Sonic, blood on the animals, blood on the spikes. Just blood, blood, blood.
yeah,
It's not shocking anymore.
no, it isn't.
Yeah, the next thing's got blood on it. The next thing's got blood on it. All right, blood. That's not even that scary.
And at some cases, acid. And at some cases, acid that kills you in one hit. Every time you got hit, you go back to the start of the level. There were no checkpoints. The level was extremely difficult. I finally got through the level, but there was no signpost, but a giant black ball. But then, two ghoulish red eyes peeked out of the black ball. It then charged at me, making the screen go completely red. I thought it was going to do the same as last time and freeze immediately. But I was wrong. A message saying "You cannot escape" appeared with a picture of Sonic. And being hung by a bloody rope. I turned off the game. What the heck did I just... What the heck did I just play? I thought to myself, was this really made by Sega? Or was this a bootleg? I didn't know... I didn't
Wait,
know
wait,
that day.
wait. So Sonic was hanging?
Yeah.
He was hanged?
It literally said being hung by a bloody rope.
But I don't really understand why the rope was bloody. Usually when you're hanged, there's no blood. Your neck just snaps. You suffocate.
Yeah, it's scary because it has blood in it. That's why they said blood.
I think it's less scary because there's blood in it. Because that doesn't make any sense. But you were Sonic, so how can Sonic be hanging?
I don't know. Anyway.
Okay.
So, let me just backtrack a little bit. Was this really made by Sega, or was this a bootleg? I didn't know that day, and I still don't know today, but I do know where this game is now. It's in the trash. When I got to bed, I hear someone committed suicide. Then I can sleep. And then there's actually a quote. There is no zone. You're trapped, Hedgehog. And this is quoted by Sonic the EXE. And, yeah, that's it.
That was absolutely ridiculous. Also, this person clearly has no life. Because they were supposed to clean their attic today, and they said that this level was very difficult, and they had to keep replaying it over and over in order to get through it. They don't have anything better to do? What about the rest of the attic? What about anything else on your to-do list for the day? I guess that's all out the window because you found some goofy Sonic game that's not even... Was this made by Sega? Come on! Why would Sega make this? Did you buy it?
No.
If it was made by Sega, wouldn't it have been in the store?
And plus, not to mention, like, you don't find it weird, like, you don't find it weird that there's just a mysterious game in your attic? And then the next solution is by turning off the game, like, just to throw it away, and then just move on with your life. And then, like what is this ending? Like, you heard someone commit suicide? Like, what does that even mean?
I figured it was some type of premonition. This game, or like the game made them commit suicide, or the game was telling the person that someone was gonna commit suicide, or... this story didn't really make any sense.
Yes, and there's just...
I think they just threw that part in the end so that it would be scarier.
Yeah, and there's just an overabundance of blood. Like,
yeah.
Why? Like, blood's not really truly scary.
Blood by itself isn't scary.
Yeah, it's not by like a general audience. So, just like, if you're gonna add it, then like make sense of it.
Tell us what's bleeding.
yeah, just make sense of it all. You can't just throw red blood over and over again and then expect a scary reaction. You're just not gonna get it.
Yeah, this wasn't very good.
Yeah, this is a really terrible one. I say it's worse than Sonic the EXE.
I don't think that people know what Sonic the EXE is, but we don't have time to go through all of that right now.
Yes.
So, we hope you enjoyed this creepypasta. Let us know down below if you know what Sonic.exe is. How about that?
Okay.
And if you don't, maybe you can say that too, and someone can explain it to you.
Yes. Yeah, that could work. Okay, so for this segment, Mickey, sorry about that. and I are going to share our experiences going to that Hunt Club. Wait, what was it called?
Hunt Club Farm.
No. The event at Hunt Club Farm.
I don't know. Everybody just calls it Hunt Club.
Well, it was a haunted attraction at Hunt Club that we went to after this recording last night. Uh,
Yeah, we were just there yet last night.
yes.
And maybe we should tell the people Hunt Club Farm is a farm in Virginia Beach, and every year they do like a spooky thing around Halloween time, and it's really popular.
Oh yes. It was actually pretty cool to go there. But
Yeah, I think we gotta start from the beginning.
yeah, but how we got there, the journey was actually pretty difficult.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do now is recount our experience going to Hunt Club for the very first time. We had never been there before last night, and we want to tell you guys all about it. So, how about we start with getting there? We, actually, before that, how about getting the ticket?
Oh man, it took an hour.
Okay, so this was really rough. I don't know what's going on. Like, why is it so hard to print something out? So the instructions after we purchased the tickets online, it said that it would be the fastest to have the ticket printed out and physically bring it with you. Okay, so then we try to print it out. And it was so difficult to get my phone connected to the printer. It took so long. But then we finally got it printed out. We still had plenty of time. We did this like a while before it was time to go. So then we got it printed out, and then we were eating dinner, and then we headed out. And then, so this was about 7 o'clock, right?
Yes.
This place is right down the street from where Ricky lives. 5 minute drive on a regular day. It took an hour to drive there. By the time we got, like, we were literally half a mile away from the location, and we were completely stopped in traffic. Half a mile away from the farm. That's how popular this place was. It took an hour of sitting in traffic before we even got to the parking lot and parked. Oh man, it just stresses me out thinking about it. We were just sitting on a regular road for an hour before we even got there. So it was like 8 o'clock by the time we got to the place and the parking lot. Oh, it was huge. It wasn't even really a lot, right, Ricky?
Yeah, it was just grass. Like it was just sort of regular grass field. It wasn't.
It wasn't paved.
No pavement. It was bumpy.
It was so bumpy.
Yeah, and for like a sports car cannot actually drive on that terrain at all.
Listen, y'all. I drive a Mustang. All right, it's no good. It's good for a lot of things, but bumpy, rough terrain, that's just not what it's for. And we were just bouncing, bouncing and bumping. It was all bumpy, and there were no lines. There were people all over the place directing you on where to go and where to park. So I parked where I was told to park, but luckily we had our phones, and I had my phone, and it marked down the location of where my car was, because there was no way to remember where I parked. But let's get out of the parking lot. Alright, let's fast forward a little bit to when we got in line for our first haunted house.
Oh yeah, lines were actually really long.
The lines were so... Y'all, if you've ever been to If you're from Virginia and you've been to Busch Gardens, the lines, I guess any amusement park, the lines were literally that long. Like waiting in line for a roller coaster. That's how long these lines were. I never would have guessed, because we've never been to this before. I never would have thought it was like this popular. That it was like an amusement park line. Like they had the little those straps things like that look like seat belts.
Yes.
Yeah, y'all know in the lines they had those. They had us all weaving through all of the lines. There were lines to get to the lines. That's how long these lines were. You were waiting in line to get to the shorter line that got you into the haunted house. Okay?
Oh. Yep.
So we were in we just jumped in the first line we saw. It looked like it was for a haunted house. We jumped into this first line. And we were waiting there for a while. And then, while we were standing there waiting, just kind of talking, looking at our phones and stuff, there was this guy that looked like Dog the Bounty Hunter at home.
Oh, yeah.
This guy looked like a budget Dog the Bounty Hunter, y'all.
Yes.
It was a white dude, real big, with long blonde hair, like a long blonde mullet. And he was so bossy. He was like just yelling at people. He said, "Get shoulder to shoulder." He was trying to push everyone closer together. And then he was like, "We don't use that word down here at Hunt Club Farm." I don't know what that person said or who he was yelling at. Yeah. But he kept yelling, "We don't use that word or those words down here at Hunt Club Farm." I was like, what is going on? We're all paying customers. Who was he yelling at? What did they say that was so bad? I don't know, but he was bossy. But eventually we got to the front of the line that leads to the line. And it was almost time. And I was worried that the actual line was going to be really long. Because at this point, we had already been in this line for 30, 45 minutes. It was getting late already. Just from all that traffic. We got there, we left right as they were starting. I thought that would work. I was sorely mistaken. We had already missed an hour of the fun just getting to the place because of the traffic. And then now we've missed 30 minutes at least. Minimum 30 minutes that we were in this line. And then we finally get up to the front of the haunted house.
Oh, okay.
Well, we get to the line that the actual line, okay?
Yes.
And then there's this guy. You want to describe him, Ricky V? What did he look like? He was wearing a crazy costume.
It was some sort of it was a pig, some sort of pig mask, mat. Covered in mud. It was like an employee, it's a sort of scary pig mask.
It was an employee, and I wouldn't call it a mask. It was just the pig was on top of his head. Oh, yeah. Like a hat.
Yes.
And it had spikes in it or something. He was not wearing a shirt. He was covered in mud. And when we were in the line to the line, he just jumped up behind me and screamed. It scared me. He came out. I saw him before, but I didn't see him approaching. He came up from behind me and yelled something over my shoulder. And I jumped and screamed.
Yes.
But then what?
Oh yeah. He accidentally, or maybe he actually on purpose, but it's in the fast pass line.
Yeah, he let us go in the fast pass line. He said, "Is it just the two of you? Alright, how about you go over here?" And he directed us over to the fast pass line. And we didn't pay extra for fast passes. This was just courtesy of the pit guy.
Yes.
Alright, so then we get in. We're at the village of the dead. Alright.
Hmm.
And we're in this haunted house.
Yes.
And what happens, Ricky P?
I can't remember the exact details, but there was one point, like, they have McNarrow, and, like, once in a while, you're gonna probably, like, get a jump scare here or there. And, this was, I would say this was normal for one of these attractions, but then something abnormal happened. There's this, like, black thing, like this smuggery thing that we had to go through. It was just like,
what?
It was just
what was
that?
that?
Like I can't really describe it. I don't really know what it was. It was just a seven.
Okay, yeah. Let us know if we've never seen anything like this. I'm gonna try to describe it and see if anyone has had this experience. So it was kind of close to the front of the haunted house. In order to pass through, you had to go through this thing that looked like, it was like you could hear the air going through it. It was like some type of inflatable thing, and you had to squeeze through it. It was like, I can't describe it. Like, imagine a bounce house, okay? Two bounce houses right next to each other. And you have to, like, squeeze through them, between them. That's kind of like what it was like. There was, like, some resistance. Like, you had to push through it. You couldn't just walk through it. You had to really push your way through this thing. It was so weird. And you couldn't see anything. The thing was black, too. And it was night. There was no light. You couldn't see where you were going. You had to put your hands out and just feel the direction. And it was so long. And eventually we got through it. And I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad we just got through that.
I mean, I had to hold on.
It was freaky.
Oh yeah, I had to actually hold on to your back of your hoodie, the hood right of your hoodie, to actually not lose you.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna get lost in it. And then we got out. The people that were in front of us had been out, I guess, because they were nowhere in sight. We had to, like, kind of catch up.
Yes.
To the point that the people that were in front of us were. But yeah, that thing was weird. I've never seen anything like it. I just didn't really like that everyone had been touching that, and that had touched me and touched my face and stuff. Everyone's been breathing on it and touching it, and you had no choice but to touch it. That was the only way through. That was the path of the haunted house. So then there was another cool little thing that was interesting in this haunted house. Remember the bridge?
Oh yeah.
It was so freaky. So I don't know how this thing worked or what this thing was.
It kind of reminded me of that one part in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. For some reason, it's like got this weird background, and it's just like it's moving at the same time. It's like it's kind of messes with your eyes. But
yeah, so it was like, yeah, it was, so you had to walk on this bridge, and there was this giant tube around it. Okay, and it was bright. It had like bright lights. And it had lines on it. And it was spinning. So it was like all these spinning lines. It made you dizzy. And you had to walk directly through it. Now, I had to have my arms out during this part because I was getting so dizzy with this big spinning bright thing around me. It was crazy. I think we were supposed to be like confused.
I mean, it worked.
It did work. I was quite confused. I was dizzy. I was disoriented once I got through it. Yeah, this was a great haunted house. And then we go a little bit further through that thing, a couple of little jump scares, and then this little girl shows up. This girl must have been like 7 years old max. I swear this was a child.
No.
Ricky doesn't believe me. I looked right in her face. She was wearing a costume and makeup all over her face. She was supposed to look scary. She was only like 2 feet tall. I don't think it was a little person that was an adult. I think it was a child, based on her dimensions. And she had a very round face, like a child. She said something. I don't remember what creepy thing she said to me, but she was holding dirt in her hands, and she said, I don't know what she called it. Do you want some of whatever the word was that she used? And I said, sure. And I put my hand out and she put some dirt in my hand. This little girl put dirt in my hand. I looked at Ricky. I said, she just put dirt in my hand. And I threw it out on the ground. Yeah, it was a little kid. She put dirt in my hand. But yeah, then the rest of it was kind of like a normal haunted house.
Yeah. I mean, there was 2 connecting. There was...
Let's get to the next part. So we got into another line after we got through it. Mm-hmm. We were very impressed. Now our expectations were pretty high.
Yes.
Our expectations going into it were like medium to low, because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't think it was going to be this good. But then after we got through that haunted house, we saw the production value they got going at this place. Best believe our expectations for the next one were very high.
Yes.
So what happens, Ricky P?
Well, first off, you have to go into this line, and then the weird thing happened. Like, we got the employees. They're just like killer clowns or something with chainsaws. Were they chainsaws or were they real? I don't even know. The
chainsaws were leaf blowers.
Yeah, well, it sounded like chainsaws. I guess it was to have a scare factor. But it didn't work on one kid that was in front of us. I barely paid attention to it.
This one kid was not freaked out. He looked right at the clown guy. They made some weird eye contact. They both turned their heads at each other. And then the guy walked away.
Yeah.
Everyone thought it was funny. Everyone that saw it close by in the line thought it was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's fast forward. Long line, we already talked about that. What about the actual haunted house?
Okay. So before we had to walk in, we had to actually have a little bit of rules. No pictures, no vaping.
Oh my god. Fast forward past this part.
But then there was this one thing that got Mickey and I wondering what also the guy said. Don't pay attention to the baby. And then so we just kind of walked in.
No, it said don't look at the baby.
Yeah, that. And
he did the rules so quick.
Yeah.
Don't look at the baby and no vaping and no pictures, and it was like so weird.
Yeah. I think it was like some sort of graveyard or something. I think it's like it's chapel. It just had like bones or something. I mean, the functionality was actually good.
This one was really weird. I think that this haunted house was a political message. I know Ricky doesn't agree with me, but this haunted house had a lot of baby skeletons and baby-sized coffins and caskets and whatnot. I think that whoever runs Hunt Club Whatever the family, the Hunt family, they might be anti-abortion. And they're taking a stand through their haunted houses. They think that abortion is killing babies.
That's just looking too deep into it.
I don't think so. They seem like a conservative folk. I mean, what about the guy before that was like, we don't use those words at Hunt Club Farm?
That had nothing to do with it.
They might be very conservative. They don't allow cursing or abortion.
Those two things don't have anything to do with it.
How do you know that? Why were there all those baby skeletons?
That's the thing.
Dead babies?
Yeah, that's what makes it scarier.
I don't think so. I think they did that very much on purpose. They could have got regular sized skeletons, like adult sized skeletons.
It's a cliche.
There could have been some 5'11", 6 foot skeletons.
Cliche. Baby skeletons are unique. And plus,
I don't think so.
And plus, children ghosts are actually a lot more scarier than adult ghosts.
Anyways. But it wasn't about ghosts. It was just dead bodies.
Yeah. Dead bodies and ghosts. It can't correlate. So it's like, children's ones are a lot more scarier than adult ones.
Well, anyways, this one was a lot shorter than the last one. We were kind of disappointed until the end of it led directly into the next line. We didn't even have to get into the next line. The end of this haunted house just led you directly into the next line.
And we got
to the next house.
And we got through the line. Y'all want to know, which led us to my favorite part, which actually goes through a cornfield. And then it was just like,
this was creepy.
And it was
like, so creepy.
Yeah, it was just like these mannequin like things, and then it's like graveyard. Mm-hmm. Like the atmosphere was actually really well put together.
It was so spooky walking through that cornfield in the dark.
Yeah, especially when they actually use like either fake ones, and then like there's some workers that were just like the mannequins. It's like you can't even tell which one was real.
Yeah, you couldn't tell what was real, what was gonna pop up, what was just gonna stay there. There was some girl singing. You remember that? There was a girl sitting there singing.
Yes.
It was all spooky. You didn't know who was gonna pop out. And what wasn't real and what was it was pretty good.
Yes.
And that's all the houses we did, right? Because like these lines took so long. By the time we were done, it was already like 10.
Yes.
It was 10 o'clock, so we left at 7 and we did 3 haunted houses and we were done at 10. I think there was one other haunted house that we didn't go to, but it was already 10. We had already been standing for so long. We were tired of standing. So that was it.
Yeah.
We had enough at that point, so we were like, yeah, it's time to go. So then here goes the long walk back to my car. Oh man, was it far. And I'm so glad my phone marked the location of my car. I made sure it did it before we got too far away from it. And I'm very glad I made sure it was there, and it guided us. Because there was no organization to the parking situation. Alright? It was just, they just had you park wherever they wanted you to park. And that was it. That's where you had to go. In this like giant field. And then it was dark. They didn't have any lights out there at all. They might have had a couple of lights, but it was pretty dark.
Yes.
So I just used my phone as like a compass. I just looked at my map and pointed us towards where it said my car was parked. And eventually we made it out. And I think that's pretty much our tale of going to the Hunt Club Farm Halloween extravaganza.
Yes.
So how about to wrap up this story, we should rate it on a scale of 1 to 10.
Alright. If I could rate it, I want to rate it probably like a. And. I'm in between like a 7.5 or like an 8. But.
Wow, that's pretty high.
Yeah. The only thing that's missing, and I don't really think it's Hunt Club's fault, was like. We already got like. Because it's not really. Bush. Like, Uh. What was that called at Busch Gardens?
Howl Scream?
Hollow Scream. Because the music bar was so big. And it's just like, you got these like random people, like random employees that dress up in scary attire that sometimes like follow you and stuff. Like, I thought that was actually really, really cool attention to detail. And it's like, that was just like, you don't know who's going to be talking you up, and just randomly decide to follow you. They're just scattered around the park.
They kind of did that at Hunt Club.
I mean, yeah, but it's like there was just no one following you. That's the one thing. Yeah, they were like
They
random
followed us
scares.
they followed us inside the haunted houses. Remember there was that one guy that got in your way.
Yeah, that
He
was.
would not let you pass.
Yeah, that was inside, but not outside. That's the one thing. But
I don't know if that this is just I don't think it's fair to compare these two.
that's what I was
Because Hunt
saying.
Club is like a family run place.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Whereas Busch Gardens is a franchise.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I wanted to actually only rate like an 8. It's not its fault. It's just like to me, it's like it was missing something. It was just that little bit, but the rest of it's actually pretty good.
Alright, I'm giving it a 6.
Oh,
6.7. Because haunted houses were pretty good. We had some good scares. You screamed really loud at one point. That was funny. um yeah, good stuff. But they lose a lot of points with me for all that traffic getting into the place and the very disorganized parking.
but yeah, the fact that you probably wouldn't not even have to print it out. They didn't even actually check the ticket or not even scan it.
Well, she did take it, so I think we did need to have it printed out.
Yeah, and there was.
If it would have been on our phones, they probably would have scanned it.
And plus, not to mention, there weren't any metal detectors, like what they said. Not to bring any metal.
Yeah. See, that. Okay, let's back up a second. So, the directions on the website were to not bring any metal. And typically, you guys must know, like, when you go to a gathering, an event of a lot of people, usually there is some type of security check where you walk through a metal detector to make sure nobody's got any weapons. Right? You go to a concert, you go to a show, you go to a graduation, like any of these large gatherings, you're gonna have to go through a metal detector so they can make sure you don't have any weapons. There was none of that here. It said to not bring any metal, but there was nothing stopping you from doing so because there was no security checks here. They just, you got your ticket, you gave them your ticket, they put a wristband on you and said, go ahead, have fun.
That's pretty much
that was it. And that was something that I brought up to Ricky while we were waiting in line. Like, anyone here could have a gun right now. A gun that's small enough to fit in your pocket. Because it also said no backpacks. and I didn't see any backpacks, but you could have a gun small enough to fit in your pocket, right?
Right.
Or definitely a pocket knife easily. So the fact, I'm just glad we weren't stabbed or shot. And I don't think anyone was stabbed or shot that night while we were at Hunt Club.
No.
So that's good, but they lose points with me for the traffic, the parking situation, and the fact that there was no security check, because that did make me feel a little bit uneasy while we were there, because people are crazy, and there's shootings and stabbings and whatnot happening all the time. So I would have felt a lot safer had everyone had to go through a metal detector. Of course, that would have taken longer for everyone to get in, but that's for our safety. I don't mind it taking a little bit longer, and then everyone there has that peace of mind that you're pretty safe right now because no one here has a weapon. So that's why I would rate it a 6.7. I couldn't completely relax, especially knowing that people were gonna pop out and try to scare me, on top of not knowing who's gonna pop out with a gun. I would have felt much more relaxed and free to be scared by what's supposed to scare me if I wasn't a little bit scared by a little bit, not scared, but a little just in the back of my mind worried that I might get shot.
Yeah.
Which, saying it out loud sounds ridiculous, but yeah, that's what I was thinking. So 6.7,
Yeah.
you rated it what, an 8? Alright, I think that concludes this spooky segment about Club Farm's Halloween special. For this segment of our spooky special episode of Take It With a Grain of Sand, we are going to talk about an episode of SpongeBob, as we normally do, but in this one we're going to talk about a spooky episode of SpongeBob, a classic, just chef's kiss episode of SpongeBob. You all know it, you love it, the Hashling Slasher. Spooky episode, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get on it, Ricky P. How does this episode of SpongeBob start out?
Near closing time.
Mm-hmm.
At
the Krusty Krab.
Yes. And Squidward's glad that it's closing time.
Mm-hmm.
SpongeBob, however, is sad when it's closing time. Because Squidward is closing time, the happiest time of the day. It just starts our closing time, the saddest part of the day.
And he's crying.
But then, just as Squidward was probably about to leave, some guy just shows up. It's hey, can I order here? And then Squidward's read the sign. And the guy clearly looked down and saw the closing sign. And then he was just
and then he proceeds
he still
to
ordered
order.
anyways.
He proceeds to just yell out an order through the window. Yeah, I'll take a patty deluxe or whatever he says. It's so funny. He just yells out his order. He can't even get in the door because it's locked.
And then she was I can't really stay. Yeah, I can't stay it. I have a life. And then the guy was fine, you don't want my money. And
Mr. Krabs.
That's where Mr. Krabs comes in.
He runs in. Doesn't he run through the door of his office?
No, yeah, he went through the door of his office. Actually, steps on Squidward and actually rips the close sign. And it's Squidward, welcome to the night shift. The Krusty Krab will be open 24 hours a day. 24
hours a day at the Krusty Krab. The problem isn't that that Mr. Krabs wants to be open 24 hours a day. The problem is that he only has 2 employees, which means the 2 of them have to work 24 hours a day. Whereas at other places that are open 24 hours, they have different shifts. One shift works 8 hours. The next shift comes in and works 8 hours. And there's a third shift that comes in that works overnight for 8 hours. Mr. Krabs only has SpongeBob and Squidward. So now they have to stay here for 24 hours a day. That's why this does not work. Okay, and then what? So they take this guy's order, he leaves, and then it's kind of later.
And then SpongeBob's actually...
excited.
Yes. And then, like, actually, he's just, like, saying all the stuff that he normally does...
At night.
During the daytime. At night.
At night.
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing. He was, like, cutting up the onions at night. Look at me, I'm cleaning the bathroom. At night.
I just burned my hand! At night.
I just burned my hand! At night. And then...
Yeah.
Now we start getting a little spooky. Right?
Okay.
Squidward gives SpongeBob a bag of trash to take out at night.
Yes.
But that means SpongeBob's got to go outside at night.
Yes.
He's scared. He doesn't want to go out to the dumpster at night.
It's also kind of edges him on. I'm about to say you like the night shift. And then the next scene, sort out back to he says, "For the Krusty Krab!" And then screams while running to the dumpster, throws the trash in, and then runs right back in.
He was screaming the whole time. But
it was like a piece of cake.
From this point forward, the whole episode is spooky.
Yeah, and this is the headline of the episode, where Squidward makes up a supposed real-life tale of the slash reading trash thingy. What was the
trash bringing
the sash
fast no, I think it's fast chinging
fast no no, it's the hash slinging slasher.
The hash slinging slasher. Okay, so Squidward's gonna tell SpongeBob this scary story of the hash slinging slasher just to scare him because he doesn't like how happy he is, of course. So, what is the story of the hash slinging slasher? We've got this guy. The story's about this guy that what was it? He worked at the Krusty Krab?
Yeah.
And he was a fry cook. And he accidentally cut off his hand. He chopped his hand off.
Yes. And then... I'm guessing he must have died somehow.
Yeah, he died, but as funeral, they fired him.
Oh.
So now he haunts the Krusty Krab.
And there's actual signs that he's there.
There's 3 signs to the hash slinging slasher.
And it happens every
night?
What was the day? No, wait, what was the day?
Thursday. Every Thursday night. Yeah, because he said what night? It happens every what's today? Wednesday or whatever day it was.
No, it was like night. I think it was like every. Yeah, like it happened with like every random day that at a random night that happened to be the day tonight because
Yeah.
obviously this was fake.
Yeah.
So we could have said anything.
3
But
signs that the Ashling slasher is here, right?
yes, and one is the phone will ring, but nobody will be on the line.
Yeah, because he's trying to call.
And then two, the lights will flicker on and off. And then next, a bus will drive up to the Krusty Krab. Not on schedule. And then, guess afterwards, he'll come right in. This opening door sound.
And then he gets you!
Gets it!
And SpongeBob is screaming.
Scream this. On repeat.
And
until like Squidward actually just reaches with him to say that it was true.
Yeah, no one has this.
Yeah,
we missed this part of the story that they gave him a spatula for a hand after he cut his hand off.
Yes.
But yeah, that was all made up. And then they go back to working, and then things start getting a little more spooky.
Yeah, so many coincidences. I mean, the first coincidence was like Squidward actually heard some like walking sound. But that just turned out to just be like SpongeBob mopping the ceiling.
Mopping the ceiling, yeah. He would put on suction cups on his shoes. And so the suctiony weird noises and all the splashing was just SpongeBob on the ceiling, upside down, mopping the ceiling. Isn't this great, Squidward? I never have time to mop the ceilings during the day.
Yeah.
But now we get spooky.
And then afterwards, after SpongeBob gets off the ceiling, well, we cut to this part where it was actually kind of funny, where we were actually asked, it's like it goes down here, it's like, who would want a Krabby Patty at 3 in the morning? And then it just cuts straight to Patrick waking up at 3 in the morning to eat a Krabby Patty.
Oh boy, 3 a.m. I want to cut to the spooky part, Ricky.
Okay, well that's a little bit of segment. So, first was the flickering lights.
Mm-hmm. The lights started flickering, and they didn't know why. And then what? And
then a phone call rang. Sugar answered it, but no one was there. It was just dead.
Hello.
And then,
that's what you're saying.
And then SpongeBob thought Squidward was just playing around and just made it like a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But it was at this point Squidward wasn't kidding around.
And then he went. Like, he had to go back and think. Okay, what's the 3 things? There was the flickering lights, the phone, and then the walls will ooze slime.
But they always did.
Oh wait, they always did. What's the 3rd thing?
And then the bus.
The bus shows up.
Drives right in front of the
SpongeBob's
dropping someone off.
SpongeBob's like, I didn't know the buses ran this late. Squidward's like,
they didn't.
They don't. And then that's when the guy gets off. And
it's just a silhouette.
It's just some person. All they can see is a silhouette. They can't see.
It's a silhouette with it looked like angry eyes.
Yeah, with red eyes, and
it held
a spatula for a hand.
And that's when they both freak out.
Yeah, so SpongeBob was like, "Wow, I can't believe you did all of this just to entertain me." Squidward was like, okay, SpongeBob, there's 2 problems with your theory. 1, I don't like you. 2, how can that be me when I'm standing right here? And
And
then
then the
that's when they
silhouette,
freak out.
yeah, the silhouette just kind of approaches, and they both confess something. Well, Squid confesses that he sort of likes SpongeBob, and this brother
SpongeBob.
confesses that he used his clarinet to unclog his toilet.
Yeah, they're
But
just
but
holding each other and shivering and crying.
and then it all turned out to be all for naught because once the light illuminates to the silhouette, it just turned out to have been some
I don't even know what that
guy.
thing was. He wasn't a fish.
Yeah, he
I
had
don't
like
I don't know what he
yeah,
was.
like the
But
hunch of his body was just like his body, and like the eyes, what they appear to be eyes, were just nostrils with his nose.
yeah, it was just his nose. And he just wanted to
And
apply for a job. He brought his own
yeah,
spatula.
yeah, which turned out to be like it was just he had a long sleeve. That's why his hand was just showing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so but he had called. He was the one who was calling and hanging up because he was nervous.
And he
And
was
then
on the phone.
Squidward starts to go through the list. Okay, so if it was you on the
Mm.
phone and you on the bus, then who was
Then who was
flickering the
flickering the
lights?
lights? And
Oh,
then the
none
flickering.
other than the German horror movie icon himself appears.
Yes.
Nosferatu! He was flickering the lights the whole time, and that's the end of the episode.
Yep.
Great episode of SpongeBob. I don't know how we're gonna connect that to real life. What things are spooky? Not everything is what it seems. Usually, there's a regular explanation for things that you think might be
Oh.
supernatural.
Oh yeah, and never really buy into every story.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
believe
just
everything you hear.
yeah. It could just very well be a lie.
Everything is
Just
a
made
lie.
up.
That's what we learned here today. Nothing's
Yes.
real. Everything's made up. It's all a lie. Don't work the late shift.
Yes.
Alright, that was a lot of fun.
I
Just,
think we
just
covered. Yep.
yeah, just recounting this episode of SpongeBob. That was. I think that does it for this spooky segment.
Yeah, we kind of gotten all our bases in line,
Yep.
and that's it.
Alright, that's it for this spooky special episode of Take It With a Grain of Sand. Thank you guys for listening. And this is gonna conclude season 1 of our show. So thank you to all you dedicated Take It With a Grain of Sand listeners. We appreciate you. Thank you for supporting us. And stay tuned and keep listening for our season 2 starting next month. And remember, of course, you just have to always take it with a grain of sand.